A memorial for their loved one. Now, why is that?
We found that families need to take ample time to grieve first. Grief is not something that we get over, but rather something that we learn to live with. So the length of time to grieve varies from person to person.
You mentioned that the monument can't be placed right away.
That's right. There are certain things that need to take place before a monument can be installed. So it's really worth taking time to think about how to plan and design a memorial that truly reflects a person's life. It's actually a healing activity that helps to alleviate grief.
John, this makes a lot of sense.
It does, and when the time is right to proceed, not only can Roe Monument help families choose and design their memorial, we can help them save as much as 50% by eliminating the middleman.
Thank you, John. Folks, you can learn more simply by visiting RomeMonuments.com.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
We can expect a chance of rain today with cloudy skies and a high near 45 degrees. It'll be mostly cloudy tonight, going down to a low of 34. Partly sunny tomorrow for Thanksgiving, reaching a high near 50. Mostly cloudy Friday with a high of 42. Partly sunny on Saturday with a high near 40. And a chance of rain Sunday with mostly cloudy skies and a high near 46 degrees. On this Wednesday, November the 22nd of 2023, at 10 after 8, we've got a temperature of 45 degrees with cloudy skies here in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Welcome to Live Mike with Mike Romigh, presented by Heritage Valley Health System, the show that talks about what's happening in Beaver County, along with news and weather with Curtis Walsh and sports with Matt Durzick. And now, here is the host of the show, Mike Romigh.
This is always a fun day because your guest who comes into the studio for the first time gets to see how the sausage is made. And it's always an eye-opener. So these guys are just a bunch of jagoffs in here. They don't really do anything at all. And they're, playing around and all that stuff. Nate Bible, the newly elected district attorney for Beaver County, is joining us in studio. Good morning and welcome, Nate.
Morning, Mike. Thank you so much for having me on.
It's a pleasure to have you here. I said to the audience earlier this morning, I met you once that I can remember, and that was at the Bags and Blessings Walk in Beaver a couple months back.
That's right. I met you there, and it was obviously a very memorable time for you. I also met you at the Chamber candidate
I do remember
forum.
that.
In fact, I spoke with you about a couple things, and so I'm glad you remember that.
Yeah, very much so. So here you are, and are you surprised?
You know what? To be honest with you, not really.
No.
I mean, it was a huge undertaking to beat an incumbent in what I think is safe to say is a red county now. But I just always had that gut feeling that I was going to pull it out. And I think maybe some people are certainly probably surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at it on its face. But I really felt the amount of support that I had behind me, how hard that I, worked. I felt very good about it.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I've had David Lozier on the program many times. I've known him for a few years. Have the utmost respect for him.
Sure.
But during this campaign cycle, it seemed to me that when I was talking with candidates or politicians or people that I would assume to be in the know, they were always saying this was the race to watch.
Yeah.
That this is going to be a close one between Nate Bible and Dave Lozier.
Yeah, and it was. It was 667 votes is all that separated us. So, which it was a much higher turnout than in prior off-year elections like this. So out of 45,000, that's close.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from?
Sure. Yeah, I'm from New Brighton. Graduated from New Brighton 2001. My parents still live in Doherty Township where I grew up. I went to the University of Buffalo, for my undergrad in history. I went to Western Michigan, Thomas Cooley Law School, and then I have my master's in law from the University of Florida.
Okay. All right. And
And right now I live in Harmony Township.
Harmony Township,
Yeah.
the historical Harmony Township.
That's right.
The
That's right.
Harmony Township next to Ambridge.
That's
right?
exactly
Not
right,
the one
yeah.
out in Zelienople.
I think the one in Zelienople's Butler County.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
so-
Okay, so I was just talking with Eddie before the show here, and he was saying he's doing a show from with Harmony Township this morning.
Okay.
I guess they have some kind of historical stuff that they do in Harmony Township for the holidays.
They do. There's I didn't know if it was this weekend or not. I guess it must be. They have like their sort of community days or
Yeah.
fall festival.
Oh, okay.
So I'll certainly make sure I stop by there on Saturday. And
Yeah.
I've lived there for almost 7 years, so it's kind of become. I mean, New Brighton's always going to be my home, but Harmony and / Ambridge has kind of been my second home now. So
And what have you done professionally since college?
yeah, so I've been an attorney for 13 years. I have my own practice in Beaver, which I sadly have to give up by the end of the year. My partner Max Schmier, amazing guy. He and I built the firm together.
What kind of law do you practice?
So in our private practice, we did primarily estate work.
Okay.
Wills, power of attorneys, trusts, estate administration when somebody passes away. We do a lot of real estate work. And we do a lot of different civil stuff, personal injury,
Okay.
kind of your run-of-the-mill civil work. But we were both part-time public defenders, so we did a bunch of criminal defense work, and we did some criminal defense work privately. Nothing too serious, DUIs, things like that. But
Public defenders, though, you work on the cheap.
we do, yeah. It's we don't do it for the money. I will tell you this though: our county has a very strong union. The public defenders. And even the district attorneys were in the same union, Steelworkers Union, together. And, we have great health insurance. We have a pension. And it's not terrible pay for part-time, but it's a lot of work. It's a heavy caseload. And you're at times dealing with some of the more sensitive cases, Beaver County. So it gets tough at times, especially when you're running a private practice too. They call it part-time work, but it's really not. But it's great. It was a great experience, being there almost every day in the courthouse, being in front of judges every day. I mean, that's things that you can't, you probably can't learn anywhere else than if you're in a public service role like that. So
Right. Is it the underbelly of Beaver County or any community that, as a district attorney, and you're dealing with public defenders and things like that, these are they the poorest of the poor? They can't afford an attorney.
The clients, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and I'll tell you this: in a lot of counties and really across the country, public defenders have a bad stigma that they're the lawyers that can't get jobs other places. And I'll tell you this, some of the best criminal defense attorneys in Beaver County are in that public defender's office. The clientele we deal with, it is the only position that is guaranteed under the Constitution. If you're charged with a crime, you have the absolute right to counsel. So it's a very important role that we play, in defending the Constitution, making sure that people's rights are preserved. But yeah, you deal with very difficult clients at times, and not just from the viewpoint that they have to be indigent to be able to get a public defender. There's an income threshold that they have to be under, but a lot of them are career criminals, and they know the system, and again, there are a lot of really good lawyers in that office. It's tough because of the caseload that we have to juggle. I always tell my clients. Because there's times where they're like, "Hey, if I pay you, will you try harder?" And I'm like, that has nothing to do with it. I'm going to try just as hard for you, whether you're a PD client or a private client. The difference is, when I'm in court in the public defender's office, I may have 6-7 cases that I'm seeing for the first time, versus if I have a private client, I'm there for one case. I probably met with them ahead of time. Maybe called the officer ahead of time. So there's a little more work that I'm able to do because that's my only case versus the 7 that I have that day. So that's really the difference. I mean, when I go to trial for a public defender client or I go to trial for a private client, I prepare the exact same way. I want to win the case just as bad whether I'm being paid or not. So
when you said, you got a lot of career criminals that need public defenders, do people, maybe colleagues on the other side, say, why you do this? Why are you defending this cretin?
Sometimes, and the officers, kind of the same way.
Yeah.
And listen, I live in this community. I get it. I understand, but at the end of the day, and when I took this job in the PD's office 5 years ago, I had some reservations about it. But, my boss at the time, his name was Jim Law, amazing guy. He told me, just remember you're defending the Constitution. And if the police do the investigation properly and the district attorney, tries the case properly, there's really nothing you can do, right? You're just making sure this person doesn't get railroaded, that their rights aren't violated. If the other side does their job, your job becomes much less significant, right? And unfortunately, that doesn't happen all the time. And, but a lot of times it's you're working out deals for people, maybe trying to get them into drug treatment, maybe trying to give them a little eye opener of, hey, if this happens again, you're going to state prison. And, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Come to Jesus moment.
Yeah. And I always, I always have a good rapport with the PD clients. I treat them like the human beings that they are. And, again, sometimes just, you can rely on a personal story or something that happened to a friend to say, look, man, you can, you don't got to keep going down this path. Like, let's look at other options, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But
we're talking with District Attorney-elect, is that what they refer to you as now?
It is, yeah.
Nate Bible is with us. You take office officially on January 2nd?
January 2nd. I get sworn in December 28th. I've asked Judge DeCastro to swear me in. She's one of our common pleas judges. And then I hit the ground running December 2nd. And before that, I'm setting myself to what they call baby DA school.
Okay.
It's a training for all new assistant district attorneys. It's not required for the DAs to go, but I've never been a prosecutor before.
Yeah.
I want to learn how to do the job just like everybody that I'll be working with. So,
do you have a good relationship going forward after the election with David Lozier? Is he working with you, trying to?
He is, yeah. And I wouldn't say. We didn't necessarily have a relationship before the election, but I'll tell you this. It was a tough race. He was a 2-term incumbent. Right. But Wednesday morning, 9 o'clock or 9:30, I had a text from him saying, hey, let me know when you're free tomorrow, meaning Thursday. I'd like for you to come in. I want to show you some things, have a smooth transition. He did. I met with some of his staff, and he said, this is your office now. Whatever you need, you let me know. I encourage you to meet with everybody, speak with all the DAs, all the detectives, so that way you're ready to go in January. So I thought it was. And we had a little private talk as well. He gave me some little pointers, and I thought it was extremely professional, especially, to text me the day after. If it was me, I probably would have took a day.
Yeah.
I thought it was, a very, very nice gesture, very professional. So
he didn't point out that you watch this guy. He's a SOB, and
you
can't trust that one over there.
It's little things that it's you're kind of in the spotlight now, I guess, and it's a small county. My giant head was on billboards for 5 weeks, so a lot of people recognize me.
Yeah.
Last name's Bible, so it's kind of it's a memorable
Works
name.
In there, yeah.
So he's just you got to be careful. A lot of people are happy for you, but not everybody. And a lot of people have told me, and as long as you're doing the right thing, you don't have anything to worry about.
You're not in a Matt Canada position today, though.
I am not in that Canada position, although I was very happy to see that, to tell you the truth. Yeah. Now, that was Christmas come early present for me. Yeah.
Now we got to see what Kenny can really do, huh?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
It seemed like a big part of the election was when you got the endorsement by police associations.
Huge.
How does that happen? Because you mentioned the police earlier and knowing the different departments. I don't know. Can a district attorney get elected if the police departments and the police unions aren't behind them?
Yeah, it's very tough. These are the men and women that you work the closest with. Outside of your assistant district attorneys, it's hand in hand. They investigate the crimes, you prosecute them. So to not have that good working relationship makes that job very difficult. And that's one of the places that I started early on. And there had been, the police had been unhappy with that administration for several years. And, I met with almost all the chiefs, maybe all the chiefs, state police. Now, our local FOP, which is all the municipalities, didn't actually officially endorse me. They just didn't endorse Dave.
Mm-hmm.
So, which was huge to not endorse the incumbent. It was the first time in decades that they didn't do that. The state police did take that step further and endorsed me, which, I agree with you as a Democrat. The national, and I'm a very moderate Democrat. I mean, I'm probably more of an independent, but the national temperature with Democrat DAs, where crime is just legal now in their cities, basically, it took a lot to really overcome that. So, to be able to tell people I'm the only candidate endorsed by law enforcement, and particularly the more conservative voters, independent voters, I really think that carried the day. So.
Can that be a dual-edged sword as well? Because then people will say, yeah, but he's too close to the police department. He's always going to, buddy up with the police.
You're absolutely right. And I think that, and that's a very good point. But I think still in people's minds, like, well, you're still a Democrat. So, it's nice that they like you and they want to work with you, but you're still going to have those I guess, more Democrat tendencies. And really, I don't even want to say they're Democrat tendencies. Sure. They're just human being tendencies. I want to help people, people that can get treatment. I want to get it for them. It's just better for everybody if you can break that cycle and make these people productive members of society again. And if I can do it, I want to do it. Some people have to go to jail. I mean, there's no other way that they're going to learn, or they're not going to learn.
When you mentioned earlier about law enforcement and not being happy with the former administration, what is it that law enforcement looks for in a DA?
I think, an open door, somebody's going to listen. I think that's the big, one of the big things that, when Mr. Lozier took office, he had no prosecutorial experience, just like I will. He had no law enforcement background. I mean, he was in the military, whatever crossover that may have. But I have none of that background. I'm a lawyer. And I think going in there with an open mind, relying on the people that have been doing this for decades, listening to them about what works, what doesn't, how can we make things run a little smoother. I think just from Mr. Lozier's sort of my way or the highway mentality, to someone that's going to sit down and listen to them and truly try to work with them. I think it was just very refreshing, and it being a defense attorney, a lot of them had worked with me, and several of them, even the ones I had trials, they shake my hand after, say, hey, you weren't a jerk. I appreciate that. Like, I know you have a job to do, but you didn't try to make me look bad. You didn't try to make me look stupid. You did your job. And so, I mean, building that rapport for years, that they're like, yeah, this is a guy that we can work with. So.
Are you going to be able to stick around with us for a little while after the news? Okay,
yeah.
Great. District Attorney-elect Nate Bible is our guest, and we'll continue our conversation, getting to know him and finding out more about the position, the Office of District Attorney in Beaver County. This is the Live Mic. I'm Mike Romigh, and we'll continue. Curtis Walsh has headlines coming up.
Read, listen, learn, survive. Remember, and never forget. Buy the book, Dead Adrenaline, One Man's Journey to Survive Beaver County, PA. If you're a fan of science fiction, horror, action-adventure, time travel, then this is the book for you. Purchase it at Amazon.com or at the Little Green Bookstore in Zelienople, PA. Also available at BlackShipGroomingCompany.com.
When life brings the great outdoors indoors, you need a reliable washer and dryer with the ability to enhance cleaning and sanitize your laundry. See the experts at AK Nahas to determine a laundry pair that works the best for your family. Whether it's the durability of commercial cleaning like Speed Queen and Maytag, or the capacity and power steam cleaning of GE and Whirlpool, AK Nahas has it all. Cleaning is believing. See it all at AK Nahas Appliance, Furniture, Mattress, and TV. You'll do okay with AK.
Things will be merry and bright in Beaver Falls this Saturday, November the 25th. Join Beaver County Radio for one of the greatest Beaver County holiday traditions, the Beaver Falls Christmas Parade. Beaver County Radio's Mike Romigh and Eddie Crow will have special radio and live stream video coverage that starts at 5:30 p.m. The special multimedia simulcast coverage is presented by the Cornerstone of Beaver County, Patriot Home Care, Al's Corner in Coppell, and Beaver County Radio.
It's 8:29, and we are speaking with Beaver. I have to say this. I have to word it properly. Beaver County District Attorney-elect Nate Bible is our guest. He will take office on January 2nd. He will get sworn in on December 28th. And where do you get sworn in? At the courthouse?
Courthouse, yeah. Room 1, I believe.
Okay.
Yep.
And family going to be there?
Family, I think we're allowed to bring 30 to 35 people. So there'll be a couple of us to get sworn in at the same time. So I think they're giving us each about 30 people to.
Oh, cool.
So it's exciting.
Mom and dad.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Dougherty Township, brothers, sisters, wife, kids. You have kids?
I have a 10-year-old son. He lives in Cincinnati. He will be there, though. He'll be out here with me for Christmas. And so being it's on the 28th, he'll be there as well. So, and his mother, God bless her. I mean, they live in Cincinnati, and she, on Tuesday, election day, she pulled him, as soon as school was done. Got him out of school. They drove out to Beaver County to.
Nice.
They got there just right after the polls closed, and so we got to hang out, and he got to be there for me when I got the news. So it was awesome.
That's special.
Yeah.
All right. Nate Bible is our guest, and we'll continue our conversation. But it's 8:30, and let's check news headlines. Here's Curtis Walsh.
Thanks, Mike. Coming up at 9:05, we'll have details on new tax credits totaling nearly $255,000 that are going to support revitalization projects in Aliquippa and Monaca, according to State Representative Rob Matzey. Members of the Pennsylvania General Assembly calling for congressional support for a ceasefire and the release of hostages for humanitarian aid for residents throughout the region impacted by the ongoing violence overseas. A federal judge says mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania should still count even if they're not dated correctly, as long as they are received on time. And Governor Josh Shapiro saying he'll appeal a court ruling that blocked a state regulation to make Pennsylvania's power plant owners pay for their planet-warming greenhouse gas emissions. And in addition to all that, the Red Cross issuing tips to prevent cooking fires this Thanksgiving.
Don't deep fry it. There are fires every year. I know people do it. I was at Sam's Club the other day, and somebody had like a 50-gallon box of canola oil, and I'm thinking they're going to deep fry the turkey. They're going to catch the carport on fire. Don't they always do that? Always something like that going on. I've never had it that way, but I hear about fires all the time. Go ahead, Kurt.
Yeah, they say Thanksgiving and the day before, top 2 days in the country for cooking fires.
Well, there you go. Amateurs in the kitchen.
I've almost done it myself.
Yeah, what's that?
We've almost started a fire deep frying.
Oh, did you do that before?
I mean, it's tough. You put it in there, and sometimes if it's still a little frozen, it starts spitting out. So,
No cooking tips from Nate Bible this morning.
All right, more on those stories and more coming up at 9:05. We can expect a chance of rain today. Otherwise, it'll be mostly cloudy, though, reaching a high of 45. And mostly cloudy skies for tonight, going down to a low of 34. On this Wednesday, November the 22nd of 2023, at 32 after 8, we've got a temperature of 45 degrees with cloudy skies in Beaver County. Now, a look at sports with Matt Durzik.
Thank you, Curtis. And talking about the holidays, it felt like a holiday yesterday in the Steel City as many people were rejoiced in the streets as Matt Canada was fired as offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The announcement was made official yesterday, and a statement, the full story, is at beavercountyradio.com.
Nate Bible said it was like an early Christmas present.
That's right. I'm excited about it.
Everyone's celebrating it. It's probably the closest we've come to peace since the Treaty of Versailles. In men's college basketball, Geneva defeated Chatham last night by a score of 89-77. Ryan Rashik dropped 23 points. Trevor Tipton had 22, and the Golden Tornadoes start their season 5-0. In other men's college basketball tonight, Pitt will take on Florida at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. That game's at 9:30. Duquesne travels to Nebraska to take on the Cornhuskers at 8 p.m. In NHL action, the Penguins host the New York Rangers tonight at PPG Paints Arena. Pittsburgh is 9-8-0 with 18 points following a 3-0 victory over Vegas on Sunday. New York leads the Metropolitan Division with a record of 12-3-1 and 25 points. Puck drop is set for 7 p.m. And coverage of Penguins hockey all season long brought to you by St. Barnabas, Moon Township Ford, the Keystone Wellness Program, Friendly Federal Credit Union, and Patriot Home Care. Now, we are just 2 days away from championship football here on Beaver County Radio. And Mangino previews all 4 WPIL final matches in this week's McDonald's preview.
Hey, it's Mangino. Here's a look at the McDonald's Beaver County High School preview. A look at the upcoming games this weekend around the valley. Brought to you by your Beaver County McDonald's. I'm loving it. Beaver Valley Rose from Southside, Beaver Falls, Avonworth, and Aliquippa. They all lead to one place, the North Shore of Pittsburgh and Acrisure Stadium. It's the 1A to 4A WPIAL Championships live from Acrisure. Streamed live on BeaverCountyRadio.com, our Facebook page, YouTube channel, and our Beaver County Radio app. Let's start with the 1A game. It's the battle of the undefeateds, number 1 versus number 2. Just like the WPIAL dreamed it up, number 1 Southside, 13-0, battles number 2 Fort Cherry, also 13-0. Southside hasn't won a WPIAL title in nearly a quarter of a century. Back in 1999, Fort Cherry is looking for their first title ever. Both offenses put up 40 points a game. Both defenses are stingy. Southside gives up less than 9 points per game. Fort Cherry, just over 11. Southside is led by senior quarterback Brody Almashi, who's thrown for as many touchdowns as he's rushed for, 17. Matt Sieg has thrown for 18 himself, but he's also rushed for 33 more. Then in 2A, it's a rematch from last year that finished 34-14. Then, number 1 versus number 2. This year, the number 1 is the same, Steel Valley. But last year's number 2 is this year's number 10, Beaver Falls. But the Tigers' 5 losses are a bit deceptive. 2 of them were to 3A schools, losing by 3 points each time. Another was to a number 2 playoff seed in Neshannock by just 1 point. They got the revenge with a 1-point win 2 weeks ago to advance in the playoffs. Now, Steel Valley loves to run the ball. The Tigers are going to have to limit number 3, Donald Barksdale, who's been averaging over 178 yards a game. Beaver Falls, however, has their own workhorse. In fact, they have 2, D'Italian Buford and Bricks Raw. D'Italian Buford, he breaks tackles and picks up those yards after contact, where Bricks Raw carries them down the field for what Bruce Fry has termed piggyback yards. Steel Valley is looking to go back-to-back and win their 4th title in the last 8 years. Beaver Falls has won 3 titles and is making their 4th straight championship game appearance, winning in 20 and then coming up short the last 2 years. Kickoff is scheduled for 2. In 3A, it's another WPIAL dream matchup, number 1 versus number 2. It's also a rematch from last year. Number 1 is reigning WPIAL and PIAA state champion and the number 1 ranked team in 3A in the entire state, Bell Vernon. Number 2, Avonworth. As a number 2 seed, they got a bye the first week. Then they knocked off number 7 Beaver 41-21, handled number 3 seed Elizabeth Forward 21-10. But now, they are matching up against a group of seniors at Bell Vernon that many believe are better than last year's team, who are led by Penn State commit Quentin Martin. Can the Antelopes control the game clock and keep the ball out of the hands of the Leopards' playmakers? Kickoff is scheduled for 5. And then finally, for a 16th straight time, the Aliquippa Quips are in the WPIAL championship game. Running back and Penn State commit Tyke Hayes says he's looking forward to going home to Acrisure, and oh, by the way, they don't lose at home, he claims. The Quips are counting on the best from Hayes, quarterback Quentin Good, Yale commit Brandon Banks, and Pitt recruit Cameron Lindsay. McKeesport is coming into the title game as the number 2 seed in 4A, with wins over Trinity and Montour by the exact same score, 28-14. They'll lean hard on their senior running back Keith Spell, who last week carried 31 times for 171 yards in their semifinal win over Montour. Not bad, right? But the Quips, have Tyke Hayes, who's now the 17th all-time in rushing in the WPIAL and needs just 103 more yards to set the school rushing record that was set back in 2014 by Dravon Henry. Aliquippa is looking for their 20th WPIAL title Friday at Acrashore. Join me along with Bruce Fry for the 1A and 2A WPIAL championships. Southside and Fort Cherry at 11, Beaver Falls and Still Valley scheduled at 2. Then it's Mike Azadian joining me for the 3A and 4A championship game. 3A between Avonworth and Bell Vernon. They're scheduled to kick off at 5. Then Aliquippa McKeesport in 4A to wrap up the night with a kickoff scheduled for 8. Listen live by downloading the Beaver County radio app so you can listen to the game wherever you are around the country. Visit beavercountyradio.com. Find us on Facebook and our YouTube channel. Listen to playoff coverage as far as our Beaver County teams will take us, because the best of Beaver County football is heard right here on Beaver County Radio.
And this preview of high school football brought to you by your local McDonald's. The local McDonald's restaurants are proud to be partners with Beaver County Radio in sponsoring Beaver County high school football games all season long. Stop into any of the local McDonald's restaurants for everyday value items like 2 for $3 mix and match, sausage burritos, sausage McMuffin, and hash browns. Don't forget to download the app for extra special savings. Looking for a great part-time job? Text McHire.com today to apply. Good luck to all the Beaver County football teams this season from your local McDonald's restaurants. I'm loving it. And just a reminder that tonight it's the Hey Peanut Sports Show from 4 to 6 p.m. And the Coach's Corner tonight at 7 live in studio. Both can be seen on our Facebook page and YouTube channels as well. That is Look at Sports. Time to return to Live Mike with Mike Romigh here on Beaver County Radio.
And our guest this morning is District Attorney-elect in Beaver County. His name is Nate Bible. And I think it's, did you tell me this is your first time actually on the radio?
It would be the first time on the radio. I think we had that debate that was on Channel 11 and a couple other times, I was on the news, but first time on radio.
Yeah,
so,
very good. And he will be sworn in on December 28th at the Beaver County Courthouse and take office, resume the duties of district attorney coming up on January 2nd. So you're hitting the ground running in 2024.
That's right, yeah.
What did you want to do? I mean, when you were a kid growing up in New Brighton, going to New Brighton High School, did you always want to be an attorney?
As long as I can remember, at least, I'm sure I probably wanted to do something earlier on. But when I started, when I first went to college, like that was my plan. I wanted to be a lawyer.
What inspired you as a young kid? Was there a TV series or something like that?
It was just always something very interesting to me. And maybe movies, and it wasn't like one particular person, but it was always. I was always relatively intelligent, and it was something that I thought there's some prestige there, and I like trying to solve problems, and so I didn't quite know all that it entails, and when you get to law school, they basically reprogram your brain.
Al Pacino in Justice for All.
Yeah.
Let's see. Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson.
That's right. Yeah.
You can't handle the truth. Defending the guy, Paul Newman. What was that movie that he was in back in the day? That he was an attorney. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
I'm not sure.
All these guys fighting for the underdog.
That's right.
Going to court.
That's right. Yeah.
So there have been plenty over the years.
But I did. My degree is in history, and I really love history, and I had thought, well, if I don't get into law school, I'm going to teach history.
Well, good thing you got into law school.
It is a good thing, yeah.
Because there aren't a whole lot of jobs in history and schools around here.
Right, yeah. So, no, it worked out. It worked out very well. It's been a very, very long, difficult path. But, hard work is keeping at it. And
And when you're looking at history and you look at Beaver County history, and you obviously, with your education, understand when lawyers go back and refer to this case from in the Supreme Court, we hear that a lot. In Johnson versus blah, 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 they said this and they determined this, and you have to have a history knowledge to know all that kind of stuff.
Sure, it certainly helps.
Base it on the history of it.
Absolutely. A lot of the founding of our country, there's a lot of Supreme Court cases that set the tone for the reason that we do a lot of things today. And that's a big part of why I loved history. Is it's fascinating for me to look back and say, this is why this is the way it is, because of whatever decision was made back then, and then it just became the norm. And but I don't know all those cases. I mean, there's a couple landmark ones, but yeah, that's what started molding the country was those Supreme Court decisions.
But you've gone through the ranks. You're successful. You have a successful law business. Why run for office? Why do you want to get into the government end of things?
Yeah, that's a great question. I never wanted to. I never had any interest in it. And, starting sometime last year, that people started approaching me, people from within the Democratic Party, other attorneys from our bar association, and had asked me, "Hey, are you interested in maybe running?" The guy who ran in 2019, his name's Ted Knafel.
Oh yeah,
I was his treasurer,
okay.
And so I worked and he's still a very good friend of mine. I worked very closely with him on his campaign. So I went to him and said, "You don't want to run again?" And now, having gone through a campaign, I see the grueling grind that it is.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, man, you have at it." And and honestly, I said no probably 7 or 8 times. And Terry Micko, who's a local attorney and involved with the Democratic Party, I'll never forget. She sent me a text after the committee met, and it was a petition with my name on it with already like 50 signatures. And she's like, "Hey, I know you told me no and you don't want to do it, but if you decide you want to, we're behind you." And so I started calling, talked to my parents, talked to my old boss, Jim Law, my wife. And, the more I spoke to people and just the encouragement that I was getting and that they're, you can really do this. And what really sold it for me was, I didn't want to leave my private practice, which you have to as a DA. And one of the biggest things, I love my partner, but I love helping our clients. It's one of, we get paid for it, don't get me wrong, but it's one of the most, satisfying parts of the job for me. And what really sold it to me was, well, Beaver County can be your client. And think of the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that you could potentially help. So I said, "All right, you tugged at my heartstrings, like you got me." So
every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in again. Do that kind of thing. But there you are. Now you got the position.
Yeah, and I couldn't be more. I honestly, my cheekbones hurt from smiling so much.
Every time you drive past one of your billboards.
Well, thank God those are down. But just anytime I talk to anybody about it, I think you can just see the excitement and I'm super honored, so thrilled for this opportunity. So.
What do you want to do? Does a person who's going to be the district attorney have aspirations, how you want to change the office or what you want to bring to Beaver County in that role?
Yeah. So the office I think is great. I have a great relationship with all the assistant district attorneys. A lot of them were pulling very hard for me. So I don't know that there needs to be that many major changes, minor tweaks to make things run more smoothly. But the things that I really want to focus on are, in my opinion, what I would call the real crimes. Violent criminals, crimes against children, crimes against the elderly, domestic violence. Things where you have real victims that are, and not to say that there aren't lesser crimes that don't impact people, but for example, somebody that's walking down the street and may look a little intoxicated, but they're walking home, they get stopped, and maybe they have drug paraphernalia on them. In my opinion, unless that person's trying to break into cars or they're getting in fights with somebody, that's not the focus of my office, right? Now, when that crosses over into you assaulted somebody, then now it's a very different story for me. So, and I think a lot of people, I've kind of put that message out there through the campaign. And I think a lot of people, are on board with it. That it's we have limited resources in Beaver County. Let's focus it on the serious things, the important things. There's, I think, 10 unsolved homicides in Aliquippa. Let's take a look at those. Let's focus on resources.
And it's an interesting point because sometimes once they are off of the front page of the newspaper or out of the top stories of the news, people forget about it.
You're exactly right.
You say 10. I'm trying to think. Now 10. What 10 are unsolved? And
I don't know them all to tell you the truth, but and probably most people wouldn't. But it's there's certainly Rachel Del Tondo, that was a much higher profile one, right?
And that reared its head again during the campaign, early in the campaign. I don't know if it helped or hurt at the time, but it was put out there, and the DA got criticism for it.
That's right. I think it's safe to say, in my opinion, it hurt.
Yeah.
It hurt him very much.
Yeah, he brought it back out, but there's no resolution to the case.
There's no resolution, and despite what he said, I don't believe they're any closer. It's certainly, I've spoke to the family before when I was campaigning. They reached out to me, actually, offered their support in any way that they could help. It's absolutely something that I want to take a look at. I at this point, I only know what's been in the news and what people have said. But at the same time, that is a very high profile one. But, anytime there's loss of life and anytime there's a homicide, I mean, those people deserve justice just as much, right?
Yeah, right.
So I understand that this Del Tondo case has gotten a lot of national attention. And I absolutely plan to look at it. Maybe some fresh eyes on it will help bring some different clarity, different point of view. But I intend to do that with all of the homicides, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Homicide rate in Beaver County, is it high? It's not Allegheny County.
No, it's not terribly high. I'll tell you what the problem is now is the youth. It's absolutely out of control. And that's been a resonating message through law enforcement. And, it's tough. It's very different. I'm 40 years old. I have two of the, I'd put my two parents up against any two parents in the world for Parents of the Year. They're absolutely amazing. The two of them, along with a couple other people, a good friend of mine, Justin Rapko, they were indispensable members of my campaign. And I'm fully confident that I wouldn't be here without their help. But a lot of people aren't as fortunate to have that upbringing that I had. Sure. And not that, I have very blue collar parents. They work extremely hard for everything that we had. But the putting myself and my sister first for everything, you don't see that a lot with parents nowadays. So it's tough. My life could have went down a bunch of different paths if it wasn't for my parents. And I realize looking back on it that they were right almost all the time. I mean, they're obviously,
nature
if they're
versus
watching
nurture.
this, they're going to know that.
Yeah.
But you can't see it at the time. And sometimes you got to learn those lessons. And sometimes that's what it takes. But for some of the youth, the gun violence with the youth, unfortunately, they don't have that home structure a lot of times. But part of it is, number one, they have to know that there's penalties for some of these things. If you're shooting at people, you're not just going to go home on an ankle bracelet,
Yeah.
But a big part of that to me is let's catch them early and, show them that this is a message that I preach throughout is if you're not, just because you're not great at school, learn a trade. And I'm a very big union guy. I'm huge into, I have advanced legal degrees. When my furnace breaks, I don't know what to do. I have to call somebody. And it doesn't make me stupid. I need that person just as much as they need me. So show those kids that there's that path where you can make $25, $30, $40 an hour, make a great wage, support your family, and you don't have to turn to crime.
Last year, and on this program and this radio station, we invite elected officials on all the time, have the commissioners on all the time, had Mr. Lozier on several occasions. And I remember last year talking with both of them about a juvenile detention center. In Beaver County, because you get these kids out there, and you're right, some of them are really going wild, and you don't want that violence to escalate, but we have no place to put them. You turn them out because they're under 18.
You're right, and it's a big problem, and it's, and honestly, that issue doesn't fall squarely on the shoulders of Mr. Lozier. That's, you're right. I mean, there's not a place to put them, but that's something that, with the help of the commissioners, that I'd really like to push hard for. When I grew up, there was Allen Crest. I had friends in high school, that went to Allen Crest, and they did not like it. So, catching them sometimes at 16 years old, 15 years old, you're going to spend 10 days, 15 days in a juvenile detention center, see what it's like to have somebody tell you when you can eat, tell you when you can go to the bathroom, restrict you to, your cell. It's not an enjoyable experience. And so sometimes that's, I have a couple friends I can think of right now that put them on a better path. Right. So
a structure in their lives. They lack the structure. How about the sheriff's department? Where your office, DA, you have deputies, right? in your office.
So we actually have detectives.
Detectives. Oh,
yeah. So we're separate from the sheriff's department. That's its own.
They're the deputies.
They're the sheriff's deputies. Yeah. I mean, they're all throughout the courthouse. I mean, they're our security. Amongst many other tasks that they perform, but in the courthouse, they're the security there.
Yeah. As far as your detectives are concerned, how big is the detective force?
It's eight detectives.
I remember Staub. For some reason, Staub is the name that keeps coming up.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He hasn't been there for. I can't tell you how long ago he retired.
Mm-hmm. Tim Staub.
It might have been 4 years. Well, Tim Staub. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I remember him.
I do remember meeting with him years ago, maybe 6-7 years ago when I had a case, but I don't. That might have been the only time I ever met him.
These are people, men and women, who go unseen for the most part.
That's right.
We don't always know who they are, and that's probably by design.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like your own sort of little private police department that you have in the DA's office. And really, at the end of the day, the police work is extremely important. But if you don't get that prosecution, then it's all for naught. So, the making sure that case is built properly, so that way when it's handed over to the DA's office, they can get a conviction, right? So a lot of the detectives' role is, assisting the local municipalities if they need it, but it's supporting the attorneys in that office, whatever, and I have some ideas of kind of maybe how to change the makeup a little bit of the way that things have been going. But it's, when attorneys are preparing for trial, they need that support.
Sure.
And that's really what that detective's office should be there for, is to support the lawyers.
That's the information they're going to court with to try and win the case, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Our guest is District Attorney-elect. His name is Nate Bible, and we'll continue. And one more segment before we close up for this morning on the live mic on Beaver County Radio.
Oh my goodness, Amy, it's so good to see you.
Jennifer, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Is your mom doing any better?
Thank you for asking. I don't know if I can answer without being emotional. I'm sorry. I'm just tired and worried. I can't always be there for her, and it's so stressful.
I really understand. That's how I was with my dad. I'd recommend calling St. Barnabas. We did. We started with just having them come in for home care. He was so excited to see them show up. And when he needed more, we were able to move him in at Beaver Meadows, where he still has his own home-like space and excellent care.
Thanks for telling me that. I don't even know how to start, but I have to do something.
Oh, you can just give St. Barnabas a call. They have directors that can explain how it all works. Trust me, you'll feel so much better, and so will your mom.
I'm so glad I ran into you.
Visit stbarnabashealthsystem.com or call 724-443-0700 for care apart from the ordinary.
It started with a road trip into the American Midwest. Huntington bankers with one mission, to understand how people made sense of money. And that's how we met Jason.
How do I save money? Jars. Whatever loose cash I have at the end of the day goes into the concert tickets jar, the vacation jar. You get it.
And that's how we came up with personalized goals for your savings accounts. Our customers give us the best ideas. Huntington, welcome. Member FDIC. Learn more at huntington.com.
Whatever you need, wherever you need us. With 3 hospitals, 7 medical neighborhoods, and many community satellite facilities, Heritage Valley Health System has your medical needs covered. Heritage Valley has a long-standing reputation for providing the finest health care in our service area. For a full listing of our services and physicians, please visit heritagevalley.org. When you need first-rate health care, there's a Heritage Valley facility nearby. Heritage Valley and you, uniquely connected for life. If you're looking forward to stuffing the turkey this year, you'll be even more excited about stuffing your pockets at Moon Township Ford. Friday, November 24th is Black Friday, and that means a special weekend of Black Friday deals, the ones you've been waiting for all year. Visit Moon Township Ford during Black Friday weekend and get a $250 gift card with every delivery this Friday and Saturday. That's $250 in your pocket and a brand new vehicle from Moon Township Ford in your driveway. What a weekend! Here's your chance to start 2024 with just what you're looking for. A chance to save during their Black Friday weekend celebration. Get a $250 gift card with every delivery this Friday and Saturday at Boone Township 4, located on University Boulevard in Boone Township.
Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
All right, we're just about finished with our conversation, our introduction to District Attorney-elect Nate Bible, who is with us and gets sworn into office on December 28th. Congratulations on the election.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Good luck going forward.
Yeah.
We hope the best for you and your family.
Thank you.
And we hope that you'll be a return visitor.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it today.
Just stay away from that guy across from you right now, Eddie Crow, you know. I'm sure you'll be invited to come on many times to tell us what's happening and probably get phone calls from all of us, even when you don't want them. Say, what's going on with that? How come we're hearing about this? Why haven't we heard, what's your office doing about it?
Right.
But it's great. So enjoy the holidays with family. Sounds like you come from a great family background.
They're amazing. Yeah, they're amazing. I'm really looking forward to Thursday, Friday. Taking Friday off and just enjoying a couple days with the family and relaxing.
They're going to treat you differently now, you know.
My family?
Yeah.
They're going to treat me worse, probably.
Hey, he's the top cop now.
Yeah,
Don't mess with him.
And again, I know I mentioned it earlier, but and even beyond my mom and dad were absolutely indispensable, Bob and Janice, but my extended family too were amazing. My mom's friends, I call my aunts.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally an effort from an army to make this happen. So
that's what Beaver County is all about, right?
It is.
Family.
Yeah.
Nate Bible, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Eddie Crow is coming up after the news.
Beaver County Radio is your source for local news in Beaver County and surrounding areas. Tune in weekdays starting at 6:30 a.m. for news reports at the top and bottom of each hour with Curtis Walsh. Eddie Crow has afternoon news at the bottom of each hour, and news correspondents Sandy Giordano and Matt Durzik have reports from local school board and municipal meetings. You can also follow Beaver County Radio on our website at beavercountyradio.com and our Facebook page for breaking news as it happens. With all that coverage, you don't need to go anywhere else but Beaver County Radio News and beavercountyradio.com.
Join Fisher's New Brighton Food Lane and Beaver County Radio for 3 big live broadcasts benefiting our seniors. Stop in on Monday, November the 20th, Monday, December the 4th, and Monday, December the 18th from 10 a.m. to noon to donate an item. Some items that are needed are socks, blankets, soap, lotion, puzzles, games, juice, cereal, peanut butter, coffee, tea, or a gift card. Join us for some fun like spinning the prize wheel, and you can see our all-new prize van. The following Santa helpers include We're at Your Service in New Brighton, Paulie's Leggins and Gifts on 3rd Avenue in New Brighton, the J&J Spratt Funeral Home, eXp Realty, the Latham Team, Right Way Mobility, Pappy's Handcrafted Candles, and Circle of Friends in New Brighton and Conway. Let's put a smile on our Beaver County senior citizens this Christmas.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMVA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Curtis Walsh.
Good morning. We can expect a chance of rain with cloudy skies and a high near 45 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after this look at news. Thanksgiving and the day before are the top 2 days in this country for the chance of a cooking fire to happen in someone's home. The American Red Cross of Greater Pennsylvania is offering safety tips everyone can follow if they'll be preparing their family's Thanksgiving feast. Some cooking tips from the Red Cross include stay in the kitchen when you are frying, grilling, or broiling food. If you must leave the kitchen even for a short time, turn off the stove. Use a timer to remind yourself that the stove or oven is on. Avoid wearing loose clothing or dangling sleeves while cooking. Clean cooking surfaces on a regular basis to prevent grease buildup. And consider purchasing a fire extinguisher to keep in your kitchen. A federal judge says mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania should still count even if they're not dated correctly, as long as they are received in time. The judge ruled Tuesday that county boards of election may no longer reject mail ballots that lack accurate handwritten dates on their return envelopes. The decision has implications for the 2024 presidential election here in Pennsylvania, where Democrats have been far more likely to vote by mail than Republicans. Thousands of improperly dated ballots were thrown out in the 2022 election. State police in Beaver issued a report on a reported 2-vehicle crash they responded to in South Heights last Tuesday at Laurel Road and Jordan Street. The operator of one vehicle told police he thought he might have been in an accident while turning onto Laurel Avenue, although the trooper did not observe any damage to the vehicle. The operator told the trooper that the other driver stopped and stated they didn't see any damage. The other driver was located by the trooper later on and stated they didn't remember getting into an accident. The report states the trooper was unable to observe any physical evidence that a crash occurred, and a notice of accident investigation was issued. Governor Josh Shapiro says he'll appeal a court ruling that blocked the state regulation to make Pennsylvania's power plant owners pay for their planet-warming greenhouse gas emissions. Still, the Democrat on Tuesday urged lawmakers to get back to a better alternative. In a statement, Shapiro didn't pledge to enforce the regulation should his administration win the appeal at the state Supreme Court. His administration says his appeal rests on the need to preserve executive authority. The court case revolves around the centerpiece of former Governor Tom Wolf's plan to fight global warming and make Pennsylvania the first major fossil fuel-producing state to adopt a carbon pricing program. And today, members of the Pennsylvania General Assembly called for congressional support for a ceasefire, for the release of all hostages, and for humanitarian aid to residents throughout the region impacted by the ongoing violence. Writing to members of Pennsylvania's congressional delegation, the state legislators started the letter by saying, "We, the undersigned state elected representatives from across Pennsylvania, believe that all of us, no matter our religion, ethnicity, or nationality, deserve a life of safety and freedom for ourselves and families. We are united with our constituents in grieving the violence against thousands of Israelis and Palestinians over the past few weeks."
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
We can expect a chance of rain today with cloudy skies and a high near 45 degrees. It'll be mostly cloudy tonight, going down to a low of 34. Partly sunny tomorrow for Thanksgiving with a high near 48. Mostly cloudy on Friday with a high near 42. Looking at this weekend, partly sunny Saturday with a high near 40, and a chance of rain Sunday with mostly cloudy skies and a high near 46. On this Wednesday, November the 22nd of 2023, at 11 after 9, we've got a temperature of 43 degrees with cloudy skies in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh on 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Now, it's time to talk on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and beavercountyradio.com. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
I hope you're good and stretched, because we're going to do a whole lot of stuff in the 3 hours that we got today. But I got to start with this. Curtis Walsh, news director. I listened to you intently. Please explain the wreck that didn't happen but did happen, but they're filling out paperwork on it, but nobody sees a dent. Did I understand that correctly? I'm oversimplifying it, certainly. Where was this at?
This was in South Heights.
South Heights. I drive South Heights. I vacation in South Heights. That's how much time I spend driving through South Heights, looking for that one police car that's parked in the middle.
Well, the state police were called to a two-vehicle accident down there, and according to the report, the operator of the one vehicle told police that he might have been in an accident. That was the way they worded it. He might have been in an accident while turning onto Laurel Avenue.
Yep.
The trooper, they couldn't determine any visible damage on the vehicle. And
So there no scuffs, no scratches, no nothing, and the guy's response was, I don't know, maybe?
Nothing that they say. He says that the other driver did stop and stated they didn't see any damage either.
You know what? It didn't mess up the arrow. Get back on the track, boys.
And then, so the police went to track down the other driver, and they located them later on.
They're looking for a different car with no dent.
They said they didn't recall getting into an accident, and the trooper was unable to observe any evidence of damages on either vehicle.
Right on.
And they filed a notice of accident investigation.
Okay. It's like tripping somebody at midfield on accident. You reach out, you help them get back up, my bad, and we all go our own way. All right. It was the wreck that didn't occur. But South Heights, I travel right through the middle. There might
have been one, just nobody.
Okay.
Nobody knows.
Thank you for that clarification. And there's more of those people driving because it's the holiday. Hello and welcome. It's Teleforum. I've heard him do that story twice, and I got to ask him about that. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving, because if the people piled into your house that normally aren't in your house isn't indication enough, we're going to talk about Thanksgiving.